You have not tuned into the greatest, another episode of the Blackout Podcast. It's your Higgity host with the Miggity Moses. Black to the motherfucking fire, yeah. And y'all, guess who I got in the building? The Bob Mackey.
What's happening, Jay? How you doing?
I'm doing good, Bob. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Just got finished trying to eat a little bit before getting on your show. I was so excited. Took 2 bites and it was gone.
Oh my God, that is so awesome. Y'all listen. Bob is slick or celebrity, y'all. So they're my first celebrity for real.
No.
I'm super excited.
Don't believe that.
Yes, he is. He is a celebrity. Okay, so Bob, for the people that don't know exactly who you are or may not follow you, introduce yourself to the people.
Hey, just to start off, it's a pleasure just being on your show, your platform, and I'm just excited. So thank you. But to answer your question, like, who am I? Like, I'm the kid who wasn't supposed to make it. You know, just to put it out there. I'm the one that people would talk about. So from Jackson County, grew up not too far from your area. You know, Jefferson, Nicholson, Center, Georgia, was raised in Athens, and just ventured off to becoming a person who I knew I had the potential to be.
Awesome. Okay, so just me doing a little bit of research on you myself, doing a little bit of background, just to see, just to get my the things that I want to talk to you about going. I saw that you dropped out of school.
Yeah. Dropped out ain't the word. Let me tell you. As Les Brown would say, I dropped out in the 8th grade, but I didn't leave the building until 11th grade. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and it was Clark Central, and it wasn't because I wasn't smart enough. I just felt that at the time that the things that I were going through, you know, some kids could just go to school. They had it easy. If you could wake up and just go to school, that's considered in my eyes as a good kid, good life. But when you got to worry about, you know, waking up, lights not being on, you ever got ready in the dark? You know what I mean? Like you go to the bathroom, have to wash your face in cold water. I mean, yes. And then the last thing we think about is school, learning.
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily the right time for me. Education is so important.
Yes.
And I push it on my children. I push it on my daughter, push it on my son. I eventually, after obtaining my GED, I went back and I went to college, 4-year degree, criminal justice, you know, did the whole 9. But at the time, it was like the survival of the fittest, you know, had to help around the house. I went to school, but I would leave 4th period. I would catch a ride outside the gates to get on the city bus to go to work.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So since you said that, do you have siblings?
Yes. Oh yeah, I got siblings. Yeah, I'm all but I didn't quite make it across. You know, when you look, so I have my daughter, my sister, 2 sisters, 3 brothers. We were the first, you know, now they have this fancy term called blended families. Nah, we just had stepbrothers and stepsisters, right?
Right.
You grow up and grow old with them. And that's what, you know, we were a blended family and didn't know it. Pops, you know, love my moms and my mom loved pops. And that's all we knew. And we knew we had to make what we had to make work.
Yeah.
And then eventually, so we stayed in Sunset. And Sunset on Sunset Drive is these apartments. They look huge from the outside, right? But it was a 1-bedroom. You're talking about, 5, 6, 7 people. And eventually Pops was like, man, I've had enough. So we moved over to Linda Avenue on over by, was that Hawthorne? No, over by 106. So we moved to Linda Avenue. And that's what we kind of, you know, crashed at as a family for quite a while.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. So becoming president and CEO of the Boys and Girls Club after having to pretty much just go through so much and drop out of school because you had to do what you had to do. How was that accomplishing becoming a president of such a big organization?
Well, before that even started, I wanted to like do something absolutely different. I've always had a passion for working with kids.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people ask me, like, how did I get into my role? And the answer is simple. The answer is I learned to do that. I learned to do the things that other people complained about, and I got good at it.
Yeah.
So when people would complain about, oh, we got to do the floors tonight, man, hey, let me, give them a little headset, make the floors look good. Or, hey, we got to watch this group of kids. Well, great. Whatever we needed to do, I wanted to make sure that our experience as employees did not taint their experiences as kids. So that's really when I started. I volunteered for Boys and Girls Clubs for about a full year.
Mm-hmm.
I went through just this mental, journey of what is it that I wanted to do? What was it that I wanted to do? And then I eventually said, you know what? I think I want to work in law enforcement. So I remember seeing this guy by the name of Tracy Green at the store, and Tracy was a probation officer for the Department of Juvenile Justice. Very influential. We used to go to the Grand Slam. Did you used to go to the Grand Slam?
I actually didn't. My mom wouldn't allow me to.
Oh, come on.
Heard a lot about it though. Wish I could have participated, but yeah, my mom, she ain't like that.
Yeah, so it was a good place, good positive place for kids.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the people, like it was like to hear counselors, Black counselors talking about, hey, we're here for the summer, we're here in school. And college is this thing that it's like it was a foreign language at the time. So you looked up to these cats like, man, you in college. The closest thing I know at my age, I saw somebody going off to those dreams. It was like the journey. You remember Boys in the Hood?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we used to have those conversations like, man, we got to go big places or a college or get out of here.
Yeah.
And so Tracy Green, to get back to the story, he was we called him the mean guy at Grand Slam. Like he had this poker face.
Wow.
Like he would look serious. And all of the girls, like they would dance in these little huddles. And Mr. Green, when he walked up, everybody just dispersed, right? Because they know he didn't play. So I saw him at the gas station one day and I said, you know what? I said, I remember you and I really loved your structure and status because you were about business, but people still spoke to you. People still waved at you. You earned a level of respect with some of the kids. Like some people wouldn't even acknowledge that they got off the bus to come into this building. I said, I want to do what you do. And he said, well, it took me a while. He said, first you got to go back to school. I said, well, okay. Well, hey, I'm in school right now. What else is it going to take? So he gave me this checklist. He said, why don't you just come to shadow and figure out, is this really what you want to do? Is this what you want to get into? And I was like, yeah, so I did it. I ended up volunteering for the Department of Juvenile Justice for one full year. Like I got up like I used to beat the paid employees at work, right? And I was just a volunteer. That's that determination and that dog that I had to say, you know what, this is the path I want. He gave me, I asked the favor of him. So I have to make sure I exceed his expectations. That's what I did, volunteered for a full year and eventually got hired on with the Department of Juvenile Justice. And so I started looking at my caseload. After analyzing my caseload, I said, man, what's up with my kids? You look at these, I call them small country towns because I'm from a small country town. So I can say that, you know how it is, it's like everybody know everybody. You're labeled when you're 5, little Tink is little Tink when he's 5, when he's 25, 45. And I said, well, where do all the kids go? So there was this place that I never heard anything about. I saw it in Athens. It was called Boys and Girls Club. And that's where all of my kids on my caseload would go. And I would go and I said, well, you're supposed to be at home. I mean, you got a leg monitor on, you don't know how. He was like, look, the kids were like, this is like family. When I witnessed kids who were in police custody for a short amount of time walk into these doors at Boys and Girls Clubs to become leaders. That was amazing to me.
Yeah.
Because the picture that the courts were painting, this was not the same kid. That further led me to believe that behavior is dictated by the environment. So if you remove a kid or whatever it is that's growing in that environment, it could be good or bad. Behavior could promote a good environment, promotes good things. But in this case, it was doing the exact opposite. So got the kids, started working there, and I started volunteering. Every day I would get off, and this is the first time, like my wife was like, look, you got to come home sometime, because I would go to, work, and then I would go to these, to the Boys and Girls Club. And somebody asked me, it was like, well, what are you trying to accomplish? Look, I said, I'm just trying to be that person that I always wanted, that I never had. And it was like, that's it. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So eventually I was hired on. The person, Kim Lucas, offered me a part-time job. I declined it at first because I said, look, let me tell you how you place expectations on somebody who doesn't want it. And she said, how? I said, you pay them. And I was like, look, I don't want to get paid because that means you're going to give me a greater level of expectation. And I'm doing it from the heart right now. And so eventually she convinced me there was a full-time position. I had a promotion with DJJ of a position to come available. Interviewed both for the same day, got both calls kind of at the same time. And I had to make a decision. That was about 17 years ago. And so I eventually, I stayed with Boys and Girls Clubs. I found my pathway. It was all about inspiring kids. The adults didn't matter. It was about what can we do tomorrow to kind of help move the needle. Like my analogy, 100 years from now, nobody's going to remember anything you or I said. Yeah. It's going to be a new slate of officers on this earth. But it was about, how do we help those kids grow and get to that 100 years? We had a problem with a lot of kids. They were not making it past 18. They were going to jail. They were getting shot, shooting each other. It was like, okay, if we can get kids making it past 18, we're good. Then it was another milestone. Okay, we got them past the 18. Let's get them graduating. Okay, we got that. Okay, let's look at a career path. Let's look at, I had a lot of kids who would come to me when they were about 24, 25. One kid called me like late at night, and those calls are the only thing I said, where you at? Oh, I'm so-and-so, Mr. Bob. I know you talked to me about this and that. I said, we had this bond, and I said, you good? He's like, yeah, I'm good, but I don't really think I'm supposed to be here, Mr. Bob. I said, okay. So I got up and I went and got him. Because possibly that could have saved his life and that young lady's life. You just never know what that situation, and potentially nothing could have happened. But for him to call and say, hey, I recognize this is one of the situations we talked about. The three things, like I tell my children, tell everybody, all of the kids, don't use drugs, graduate from school, and don't become a teen parent too soon.
Yes.
That's the only thing. Once he recognized one of those three, he was like, let me get up out of here.
Amen. That is, golly, that is so awesome. Now, I'm going to tell y'all why I said that Bob Mackey is a celebrity. So Mr. Mackey here made an appearance on one of a wonderful TV show that I've actually watched a couple of times myself called Shark Tank. So, Mr. Mackey, tell us about your experience on Shark Tank and working with Michael Green.
Yeah, so Michael's my guy, number one. This has been like prior to that, Michael and we used to share the same stage together because we're both speakers, we're both presenters, and we kept in contact with each other over the years. So the whole Shark Tank experience was different, was incredible. It was everything I dreamed of it to be. Wow. I used to watch the show, be like, man, what could I come up with to be there? Right? Because it has the Oprah effect. Yeah, one way or the other. You either do very good or you do very bad. There's no middle, right? But it was really how I imagined it to be. Everything that happened on that day, it happened because of what we put in. That's the honest truth. It happened because it was supposed to happen. How did I feel? I felt like I was supposed to be there.
Yeah.
At that moment in time on Earth, on the end of the universe, Bob Mackey, Michael Green was supposed to be in front of Damon John, Mark Cuban, Lori, Barbara, Mr. Wonderful, and that's what we work for to get there.
Yes. Okay. So you guys came up with this invention called the Yono Clip, which when I saw it, I was like, that's awesome. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, you don't want the stuff. It was around COVID time. And we had the whole don't touch your face, don't touch this, don't touch that. So you came up with this clip that was great especially for single parents that had like babies and they could hang their baby bags or their purses up instead of having to set them on the floor or set them on a dirty chair. How did you guys come up with the Yono Clip?
Yeah, so the Yono Clip, I was at the gym working out and I asked an associate because, so I was working out. I switched the machine and I almost tripped over a bag that was on the floor. I asked the associate, I was like, hey, can't we, hang something up on the wall? And he was like, he got a little smart with me. He was like, well, no, that's why we got lockers for. I was like, okay, cool. So my imagination of I'm solution driven, problem solver, like to the T.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, well, what could I come up with that would solve this problem? I took a pencil from the container on the desk, and I took the napkin that I was wiping my face with. And before I got back on the machine, I asked him, I said, well, can I put something on the machine? He was like, as long as it doesn't damage our equipment and it doesn't damage our walls. And I said, well, if he said that here, that probably could go for anywhere. So I started drawing and sketching. So I sketched this thing out. And I said, well, I want it to be like round, something you can hold in the palm of your hand, something that you can, activate it with a pull of a finger, of that end. And lo and behold, I called a friend, Jason Etheridge. I was like, Jason, I want you to look at this and I'm going to call you right back. I sent it to him, called him right back. He said, man, that's a good idea. I was like, yeah, so so a lot of people ask me, I need help with this good idea. I think I got a good idea. I said, well, if you think you got a good idea, it's probably not a good idea because we can't confirm a good idea. I said, the good idea comes from the confirmation of someone else. We just know it's something that can be used in the world as an idea.
Right.
But being a good idea, somebody else has to confirm that to be like, man, that's a good idea.
Right.
And that's your first potential proof of concept at that time. And that's why it's so important that you don't confirm your own idea. You just confirm the thought of the idea. So I sent it to another friend and he was like, hey, I can't really work on it. He said, I'm sure they thought of this somewhere in the universe. I know they thought of this. I was like, well, if it has, then let me research. I researched everywhere. I researched Google. I went to every different countries and everywhere just to see, hey, did they come up with this? I was emailing people. Do they have a design or something like this? And everywhere was no. No. I said, well, I got it. So I started, I didn't know about CAD design. And I downloaded a program for CAD design and I taught myself how to utilize CAD. And I designed the first STL file for this Yono Clip. Then I sent it to a friend and he said, only thing you have to do now is get somebody to manufacture this. Right before, and everything was shutting down at that time. So every day it was like a news break, so-and-so shut down, the gyms are shut down. And I said, well, what can I do? Who could I call? So I started Googling places. Everybody had their responder. We're out due to COVID. Due to COVID-19, we are no longer accepting new customers. I got through about 3 companies and all of them said no. All of them said, I'm sorry, this is great, but it's no way you could defy gravity and and this can work. It's just no way that it could work. You know, they call top engineers on this thing. So I that didn't deter me. You know, I've heard worse than that.
Right.
So I continued to search, and so I've learned in the field, you got to find people is just as hungry as you are for something, right? And you know, right there at that bridge, like what's the winning edge? And if you can get people to sit on the winning edge with you, you know, you both have the opportunity to jump. And that's what I did. I found a company who just needed that one thing. They had all the tools, they had all the knowledge, they had the whereabouts. They just needed that one thing to push them over the edge. And I talked to this guy, and he asked me, he said, "What do you see this thing?" I said, "I see it being used all around the world." He said, "What do you see?" I said, "I see you all designing it for everybody all around the world." He said, "We're going to give it a shot." He came back to me. He said, "Well, we can make it work."
Awesome.
I said, I said, "You can make it work." He said, "It's going to take some splicing and dicing and all of the other stuff." And he said, "But," he said, "if we can make this work, you have created and beat so many odds." And I said, "I know." And I said, "If you all can make it work, I guarantee you, I'll push it to be on the highest platform ever," which was Shark Tank. And so along that way, and what we did was we eventually, I'll skip one step. So after we did all that, and I talked to them, I said, "Man, I'm all about sharing and caring, right? This whole thing."
That's right.
So I went back and I put it on Facebook, and I said, "Hey, I have a graded gem invention. Does anybody want to partner with me?" It was just like that, silence.
Yeah.
I had about 5 people who chimed in.
Yeah.
They said, yeah. One person was like, "I got 5 on it." The other person was like, "I guess, I don't know if that, I'll you hold the call, I'll jump in." I was like, "Okay, well, maybe, just maybe, I'll hold the call." And I said, "I'm going to set it on this day." I held the call, then nobody jumped on the call. So Michael Green sent me a message, and he said, "Hey, brother, I don't know whatever it is that you got going, but I want to hear about it."
Yeah.
So I made the pitch, and I said, "This is it." I said, "What do you think?" He said, "Man, this is genius." He said, "How many people you got on your team?" I said, "You the one and only person, brother."
Sometimes that's all it takes, you one.
That's it. Look,
Yeah.
I said, "If you come in," I said, "I'm closing this." I said, "People have had the opportunity to be a part of something great." And from there, so we were the fastest product without a product because of COVID to appear on one of the top rated business shows in America. And we got on there. We made sure we were going to leave with something, whether if it was Lori's shoe, the lamp, something. We were going to leave with something on that stage.
Some type of souvenir.
Yeah, we were there. We were going to leave with something. So we ended up getting a deal with Damon John. So Damon John is our business partner. Let me tell you how this whole thing works. When I was about 16, I remember working at a construction job that day, and we only had a few hours, but I wanted to go to the mall. And before the mall, you had to get, your gear right or whatnot. I just needed a t-shirt, but it was this FUBU shirt that I saved up all my money to go get. And I bought that FUBU shirt.
Yeah.
Right? Think about that. 20 plus years later, over 24 years later, this same guy who almost went broke for buying that shirt is my business partner.
That's crazy. See, that's the type of stuff that I love to hear about stories like that, because that just puts so much encouragement and motivation into the air. Like, you went broke trying to buy a t-shirt, and now this dude is your partner. So where is Yono Clip now?
Yeah, Yono Clip, we're still there. We're looking to get acquired. So we're going through some phases of the acquirement process. And we're still there. COVID hit us harder than it hit. Well, anybody who went through the best time and the worst time was to be on Shark Tank was when we went on Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Why? because as soon as we went on, the world shut down.
Yeah.
So we had products and we had angry customers because they couldn't get their product, and which I understand. It was like that everywhere. Mm-hmm. But we had products sitting on the dock for at least a year.
Wow.
Because, you know, nobody could touch the containers.
Right.
You know, this thing called COVID, you didn't know where it lived. You know, you didn't know who had it.
Yeah.
People were afraid. That's the thing about, like, when people are afraid to die, they shut down everything.
Yes.
Don't go outside. Don't call me. You know, COVID's around. You know, it's like, you know, this whole thing. So for us, we had to experience the backside of business from a standpoint of recovery. Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of people now are just seeing our episodes, and they're, you know, so when we're one of the most replayed, you know, spots on that episode, mm-hmm. And we came out number one. You know, normally, right? You know, normally you got 1 or 2. No, we came out, you know, number one. We headlined for Shark Tank, right? For that season, for that episode. Awesome.
Yeah.
From there. So it was an experience. Mm-hmm. It was a great experience. It was a door opener. Mm-hmm. Like, I knew at that point, like, what's in this mind, it's nothing but opportunity. Mm-hmm. So it's just the vehicle. It's solidified because a lot of people know a lot of things that I do. I don't really advertise, right? I don't put it out there. And somebody asked me, they was like, man, why don't you talk about what you do? Why don't you talk about, I was like, look, if I talk about what I do, it'll sound like I'm bragging. Mm-hmm. Right. And it's not that. It's coming from a place because what I do, certain people just can't attend. Right. Most of my events are not public. Right. I'm brought in. I'm invited to become a speaker. Right. And that's where, like, the lines are different. A lot of people, hey, you know, you're a humble guy. Yeah, I'm very humble. Mm-hmm. You know, hey, that's just me. But a lot of people tried to tack on the humbleness in the beginning as they saw my career take off. And what I've learned is that people will label you humble to keep you quiet. Yeah. Like, they will give you that label because it's like, oh, and you know, that self-belief of, I'm a humble kid, you know, I ain't got, no. So I'll tell people, let people know what you do. Right. Like, you put in the work, you put in the time. And if you know what that line of survival is for you, like, let people know, like, your story, where you're going. Don't be afraid to talk about your dreams. Don't be afraid to talk about what you don't have, what you had, like, how you need help. That's the most important thing, because when a person's about their business, they're not asking you what they can do. They're asking you how I can help you do what you do. That's right. And for us, Shark Tank was one of those things. Mm-hmm. You had to be ready, like, ready. Mm-hmm. It was no second guessing. And you know, you got a 5-minute clip, but you stay in the tank a good while. So you have people who don't know you. It's one of the hardest sales in my life, like, really. It not from the standpoint of being tough, of being, no, I was nervous, but you have people who can change your life. But you have to first change your mind. Yeah. They've heard pitches from 15, 14 years ago by that time. So they could change your life, but first you had to change your mind. And that's what we were able to do in about 5 minutes. Sold. Yeah, that is so incredible. So I'm gonna ask you this. You said that never be afraid to talk about your dreams. And, you know, there's this little saying that people be like, you know, move in silence. Do you believe in moving in silence? Well, I think moving and taking steps are two different things. Mm-hmm. I can be on step 1 and you'll never know it. Mm-hmm. Right. So that, you know, and that first step may not, silence is when you look at a nonverbal, silence is something people can't hear. Not necessarily see, right? Right. So you may see what I'm doing, but you don't know what I'm doing, which creates speculation on how I'm doing what I'm doing, right? So true silence, you can see where I'm going. Even before I get there. That's why when people say, hey, I see your vision, you're moving in silence, but that thing's so powerful.
Yeah.
Hey, Jay, hey, when I mean it's so powerful, they can see it before you even get there.
Yeah. Definitely.
You know, because of the rate of which you're moving. When you're focused, that's the thing. And I love about cinematography. The best thing, let me tell you, the greatest feeling you can get behind the camera is when you're in focus.
Yeah.
It's so clear. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
The most amazing part of that whole thing, that picture, is when you're in focus. Because when you're out of focus, nothing, you may get a couple shots that look okay, but when you finally dial in on that thing you came for, oh, it's a beautiful moment.
Yeah. That is so awesome. That is so awesome. Oh my goodness. I just love it. Okay. So have you thought of anything else to invent since Yono Clip, or are you just kind of trying to see where Yono Clip is going to go?
Look, Yono Clip was the first one that worked.
Yeah.
Yono Clip, and I'll say this, I it's not that Yono Clip was the first one, but as the old, there's an old quote talking about, I just found 99 ways to fail. Right? Yono Clip was just the first one, the qualifier. So now what I'm going to do is now I'm pulling back all of those old inventions that didn't work because I have a platform. And it wasn't that those inventions were terrible. It was just I didn't have a platform for those. Like when you hear let's see, and I'll just use Neo for an example. Right? So when you hear Neo, and finally when let me use Jamie Foxx, because I love Jamie Foxx, right? So when Jamie used to sing on his sitcom, people loved it. It was like, oh man, that's Jamie. Like they would love Jamie Foxx to sing, but he would play a little bit, right? And then he even tried to do a little bit in his comedic skits. But when what was that? I Ain't Saying She a Gold Digger came out, you know, she give me my like people was like, whoa, Jamie. And then what happened after that?
He blew
everything up that didn't work for Jamie back then. He rolled it out.
Yeah.
This dude came out with 3 albums.
He did.
Right? Back to back. He was the #1 comedian and also took the spot as the #1 R&B singer.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yes. Right? He did that. He definitely did that. Yeah, right. Unpredictable is still one of my favorite albums by him.
Oh yeah. Jamie is talented, and it's one thing two things you can't argue with: favor and talent.
Yes.
You can't argue with them.
Yeah.
So regardless of what field people try to put you in, you're gonna capitalize and make your way to the top regardless.
That's right. Okay, so you also do some writing and producing, right? You got a couple of TV series out there, Oscarville and Unto You. Now, is it Martina?
Martina. Yeah.
Where did the inspiration come from for the TV series, like the writing and the producing?
And I'm going to take what you said on that. It came when nobody wanted to produce what I was writing. That's where it came at.
Yeah.
Right? Same concept. Hey, I think this will be a good idea for your show. I think this will be great here. Oh no. Oh no, it's not the time for it. So I said, you know what? Let me just take what I'm doing, and I don't never want to be in a place to where somebody. Well, I'll take it back a couple steps. I never want to be in a place where I feel unwanted. And looking at what I was pitching to people, that's where that feeling came up again at. It made me feel like, nobody don't want what you got. Like this right here. So it put me in a place, I was like unsettled. And I said, well, how can I get myself out of this? So I started writing myself. I taught myself the whole film game. I hired people that showed me a little more. From that end, I went out one step. I even started hiring actors and actresses at the time, just so that way I didn't have to hear people saying, you know what, you don't know what you're doing. So if I hire you, the only thing I need for you to sit there and model so I can get these shots, right? So that's what I had to do in the beginning. And Martina, from Unto You, Martina, we have Urban Chefs of Atlanta. We also have Oscarville, the television series. We have A Special Kind of Love that's out there. And all of these are going to be dropping. They got a real estate show. It's called The Blind Deal Atlanta. Yeah. And the first episode features Joy Lyle, a classmate. I know, right?
Joy Lyle, who was on the show too a couple of months ago.
Yeah. First episode, Joy Lyle, and can't give you too much because it's a unique opportunity and just a show. It's a good show. And then Urban Chefs of Atlanta highlights chefs to give them a platform, not to just be on somebody's show, but to make the show about Black chefing. Mm-hmm. So to explain and understand the history of not just cooking, but Black chefing. And to where we can have kids that watch this and they see every episode, it's a Black chef. The credits go off. Even the credits are Black, right? Because I want to make sure that the concept does not get lost in this world. It is a dominated arena, not by Black chefs. And I want to make sure that chefing is taken to another level and they give the respect that they deserve.
Awesome. Bob, I'm gonna have to stop you right there. We're gonna have to come back in just a few minutes. Y'all know I am cheap as hell and I ain't paid for my Zoom this month. So but I'm going to get back with you in about 5 minutes. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned in with me once we come back with Bob Mackey. All right, I'm back again with the Bob Mackey. Continue this conversation that we're having. So many gems being dropped, so much education dropping, so much knowledge on us. Let's go ahead and continue, Bob. We left off when you were talking about writing and producing in your TV series.
Yeah. So with the television series, all of them, I even have this one particular, my goal was to really write for individuals I would say my goal is just to write for individuals that are on that winning edge, upcoming artists. And even with Oscarville, the series, it was about telling a story because we all know the story of Lake Lanier, or we think we know the story of Lake Lanier. Right. We know the trending story of Lake Lanier. But when we talk about Oscarville was just one of many that were, one of many towns that were impacted with Lake Lanier. And there were so many myths behind it. So I wanted to bring forth truth to, and all of it is not painted how it has been painted to us. When we talk about a historical viewpoint, there were some terrible things that happened, but there were also some things that happened on our end too, as Blacks, that we were control of as well. But when you look at the demise of a community, when you look at land taken, when you look at land being blamed for I guess a population that no longer exists. Hey, that was, there were a lot of truths to that. There was a lot of racism, there was a lot of hatred, but there still were a lot of good people. And Oscarville wasn't 100% Black, wasn't 100% Black town. There are a lot of different things out there, but that's what Oscarville. So I wanted to take education and entertainment, but also history and put it all together from that point. So that way it gives us a clear picture of some of the things that could have happened, but it's television. So there are some things on there that were enhanced just to keep your attention. But for the most part, the storyline is pretty close to factual. When you look at going to the courthouse, finding records in the courthouse, going back, that box of records no longer exists. Just all kind of stuff like that. And D. Martina is based on a true story. I had to change it up because the story is connected to my family. And so it was about a family who moved from Cuba. And the grandfather was a part of, he created this family business. You can speculate or use your imagination on that. Right. And so the grandfather had a son and also I think he had 2 sons and a daughter or whatnot, but he had this granddaughter that he loved. First grandchild, you know how that goes. If you're a first grandchild, get all the love. And the father had gotten jealous of that. And he started beating on the daughter, and also the mom. Well, this is a mob family. So it's two rules that they go by. You don't hit women or children. You protect them. That's why normally in hits, normally the women and children are saved in many ways. So looking at DiMattina, the grandfather passed away. He was a kingpin of the family. Jimmy Mattina was the kingpin of the family. He ended up leaving the business to the granddaughter. Right? So remember early on, the dad disappeared. They thought the dad was dead. Basically, before the death of the grandfather, Jimmy Mattina, he gave an ultimatum to the dad to say, hey, you either run away and never come back, or we'll make sure you don't come back. So the father left. The daughter thought he was dead. So all of a sudden, the daughter has to run the family business by a list of rules left by the grandfather. So it's good. But one of the rules is like, one of the rules was if you get in a car and it doesn't crank the first time, get out. If you always eat before the roosters, always eat before the roosters tell you it's time to get up, right? Because in other words, staying ahead of the game or whatnot. Never place harm on any women or children. Take care of your family. Just certain things. But there's some other rules. I don't want to give it away. That he has. So she lived the life, and all of a sudden there's somebody trying to kill her. But the person ended up being her father, who's been trying to kill her because he thought she was the reason. The granddaughter was the reason why he had to disappear, basically. I skipped around a whole lot, trying not to give a whole bunch of things away. But it's a mafia drama, and it is inspired by true events. And then the chefing, we talked about the chefing. We talked about real estate. There's this one though. Let me tell you, hey Jay, let me tell you about. And I'm not going to tell you about it, but I love this singer so much that I said, how can I pay tribute to this person? And I looked and I tried to find, did they have some type of, movie coming out or whatnot, and they didn't. So for the last several months, I've been filming a film about this singer. And it is, when I tell you it is so beautiful. It's going to take the world by storm. So
do we know the singer? Of course, I'm sure we do.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you do.
Man, I want to know.
I'll share it with you before we get off. I'll share a snippet before we get off. Okay. Just to see your reaction. So when it comes to this, I said, hey, when I already said, hey, I love Jamie Foxx. That was one person who I wanted to write like. I wanted to have a diverse outlook on filming like. And I said, I want to walk like Denzel. Well, I'm slew-footed, so that didn't happen. And but I said I can, and I'm gonna meet on Oscarville. It had supporting, like who are your dream cast? So anytime you do your pitch deck, you write your dream cast in. And I think I put Oprah, I put Denzel on there, and then on my vision end, I put, hey, I gotta meet this person by this time, and I gotta meet this person by this time. This was about 6 months after me doing my board, after me doing just the film vision. I was able to sit down with Denzel Washington.
Stop lying.
Yeah.
Really?
I was able.
I told y'all he was a celebrity. I told y'all he is a celebrity. I got a celebrity on the show, y'all.
Yeah. I was, and the thing is, when we talk about, I'm not going to give so much away, but it wasn't like, hey, what's up? How you doing? No, this was just sit back. I mean, this was one of those that you just take in nuggets. And sometimes people don't have to say much. It's just what they talk about. Very cool, calm, collected, respectable guy. And I'm just honored that I was afforded an opportunity to really be in that space. But it goes back to this. is that wherever you are in the universe, you made an appointment to be there.
Yeah.
So I had set that appointment long before I even recognized it. But I knew I had what it takes to be in the room with somebody such as Denzel Washington, and the opportunities made forth within themselves. And hey, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So if anything, and like, hey, I don't want nothing. And you know, that was my thing. I'm not here to ask for anything. I just want to learn. Yeah. One of the greatest gifts we have is the ability to learn. If you don't have the ability to learn, that's what I consider a disability. It's not about your functionalities, because there are a lot of disabled, you know, people mentally, right? Yeah. Because they don't have the ability to learn and to retain the information enough to apply the information to a situation when needed to be applied. So I'm just grateful that I've had the opportunity to just learn, and that's what I do. You know, I observe, I pay attention to people. I'm good at impressions, and the reason why I'm good at impressions is because I study people. And this is how I know you want something so bad. You don't say I want it, you study it. So that thing you say you want that bad, you study it. You ain't got to, you ain't, oh, how does this happen? Don't worry. I can tell you how it happened. I can tell you why it happened. I could tell you what fingers you use to pick up that glass with, the way you're holding it. If I want to know what you think like and be in the same with you, I'm going to study you, because that's what I look to do. And that's where I want people to understand. That's what I want people to understand is like they say, talk is cheap, right? It takes time to study a person. And characteristics, like we talked about silence, moving in silence. Well, that's a part of studying, you know, when you're just there and you look at the way, you know, somebody moves their head. That's why it's hard to play certain people, because you got to spend 3 or 4 years studying that person's movement, just the way they get up out of a chair is so important. But anyway, I know I'm getting off, you know, on these ends, but I just feel that sometimes that we don't study the thing that we want. We go after it and then we get it. And sometimes we end up with something we don't want because we didn't realize what we were going after.
Yeah. So I'm just going to piggyback off what you just said. You said you do impressions.
Yes.
Can you give me one of your best impressions of somebody that you really like?
Oh man, let me see. Well, I can't see. That's the thing. I'm not a Jamie Foxx to where he can do his impressions like instantly. You know, mine comes through just conversation. Okay. Like they come out as personalities, right? Okay. You know, because I can do the whole Ray Charles thing like Jamie did or whatnot. But it just comes out in conversation. So you'll probably get it throughout this episode here. But just turning it on and off, you know, hey, I may give it to you, but you're going to be expecting it. I like it when you're least expecting it. Exactly. To be like, oh man, did he just sound like so-and-so? You know?
Yeah. Okay, so let's go into talking about working with Heartland Media and Films. How did you end up hooking up with them?
Yes, so Heartland Media and Films is actually it's my company that I started. Yeah. And it's, you know, most people say, well, where'd the name come from? Like I provide service from the heart anyway. And it's supposed to be a hard land, right? So it's heart landing on whatever it is that I'm after, that thing that I'm studying, have to put my heart there first. And that's why you have Heartland Media. Media is any form of communication. Films is that tool that I'm using to deliver that medium, that form of communication. So that's why it's Heartland Media and Films. So I created that a couple years ago. I wanted something that was universal. And I wanted something when people said it, it made them feel like they were a part of something bigger than they are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. I know that you've done a lot of TV series. Have you considered doing any type of movies or plays?
So yeah, two of the films that one I mentioned to you, the other one I will show you, they're featured films. Yeah. And I love TV series or episodic series because I can change the narrative. Right. You can, a movie, once you shot the movie, it's done.
Yeah.
You know, unless you do an alternate ending, you normally have to do a sequel, right?
Yeah.
But a series, you have an opportunity to because characters grow. Some grow old, some grow and die out, right?
Yeah.
But you can see directions, and then the audience too grows as well. So you can add people. I can put more people to work with episodes than I can with movies.
Yeah.
Because it's one and done, and that's why I do. But there are some classics, such as Five Heartbeats, excuse me, such as Boys in the Hood, such as The Inkwell, such as The Wood, Color Purple, Harlem Nights.
Yeah.
You know, like all. Which one?
The Clumps.
Oh yeah, the Clumps, right? What about The Wiz? Like,
yeah,
you know, all of these, there are certain things that cannot be recreated.
Yeah.
Right? Because I believe that's when they were on that winning edge.
Yeah.
And when you look at those movies, like Color Purple, you can pick out all those individuals who started were on that winning edge.
Yeah.
And most people, when you look at to talk about Oprah Winfrey, Oprah did not know she applied to be a part of The Color Purple. Like she like that was her thing. So when people say, well, how did they get Harpo? Well, the producer, the writer, the executive, the brain behind it said, so I got a character for you. It's called Harpo, right? And she was like, that's my name spelled backwards, right? And so when you look at her not supposed to be on that role, you know, who else was that? Was that Danny Glover? Yeah, right. When you look at Danny Glover, think about all the things he have done. You know, he's done. Whoopi Goldberg. Like before Class Act, it was Color Purple.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
You know, and there was one guy from Five Heartbeats. He played every singer you can think of, right? From Temptations. What's his name? Leon, right?
Leon, yep, Leon.
Yeah, Leon played, right? And yeah, David, right? So so there are moments in movies that you just can't recreate. And those are, and I'm gonna have at least two of those, I promise you. When people see these two films that I'm gonna show you, they're gonna be equal to like a Color Purple or an Inkwell or a Love Jones, you know, like all so it's coming.
So, oh my God, this is awesome. So like, what are you trying to accomplish ultimately with Heartland Films and with all of these TV series and stuff like that?
Well, I want to put good content out there, and there's a lot of great content, but I want to be able to put good people to work. I want to work with talented people. I want to work with people who have that thing but haven't had that opportunity. So I want to give Whoopi Goldberg her first opportunity, you know, that sort of thing. So the next Whoopi Goldberg, I want to be able to somebody to look at a film like Bob Mackey's films in Heartland to say, you know, she did that film like 20 years ago. Nobody really ever knew. The same thing. I think there was a clip going around the internet with Michael Blackston. Right. Right. Yeah. Have you saw that where he was in, Michael Blackston was in Lean on Me.
Really?
Yeah. So when it was like Free Mr. Clark, right?
I have seen that movie 1,000 times and never seen him in there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go watch.
When they were saying Free Mr. Clark, Clark, right? And that was another epic movie, Lean on Me. You know, but having those moments to where like we just had, like, did you know moments? Like, did you know they played in there? Like, who did that? Like, somebody had to give them that opportunity. And I was at a point to where, like, you see people run away from opportunity because so many people have denied them opportunity.
Yeah.
So I just said, hey, if you want to act and if you can show up when it's time to roll, And if you can provide like a 150% mentality toward this project, you can have the role. Because the thing about this role is we can write another role. I'm not looking for perfection right now. I'm just looking for that person who understands that we have more than one shot, but if we do it right, that's all we need. Like right now, you know.
Definitely. I knew that this conversation was gonna be awesome, but I didn't know you had all this. I'm even more inspired now. Okay, so what other entities of film and media do you want to step into?
I would love to get a platform for Miss J and her show.
I would love for you to do it too.
So just think about that big warehouse facility where you walk in, your name's on the wall. When you like the sign you got earlier, it blinks twice. One to let people know you've just pulled up, the other one to let people know you just walked in your office. That's the type of vision. That's what I'm talking about.
Boy, don't get me excited now.
Hey, go for it. It's yeah, you have the talent, you know, it's there. And what I want to try to help people do is this. I want to help people create options.
Yeah.
And let me tell you why options are so important. People treat you better when they know you have options.
Yeah, definitely.
They treat you better. That can be relationships, that can be workmanships, business partnerships. People treat you better when they know you have options. People do you dirty when they know that they're your only option.
Why do you think that is, though? Like, if just say, for instance, if you're dedicated to something, and because that's the only option that you have, and you're dedicated, you're putting 150% into it. Why do you think people treat you like dirt because of it?
Well, I think there are several reasons, but one of the main reasons is that people are afraid of potential. And it's not that what you're doing, people are afraid of what you can do. And that what you can do, if it doesn't involve them, it creates a level of internal frustration to where they can't see themselves with you and or without you. So that's where I think it creates, and back in the days, they used to have, if you notice, a lot of the singing groups always started out as a singing group.
Yeah.
Eventually, there was always one that rose to the top and broke away.
Right.
Always one. I mean, if you look at my wall behind me, right? Just, you know, Gap Band, you got Belle DeVoe. I mean, you know, I think that's Teddy Pendergrass. You got Otis Redding up there.
Yep.
You know, so Jeffrey Osborne. Yep. You know, they all started with these large groups, and eventually, where the group was they couldn't go any further with the group, and a lot of movies portray this, like where there's always this big separation and big split, but somebody had a vision to take this thing one step further. Sometimes everybody can't go where you're going. Not saying there's not a role for you there.
Right.
If in order for people to get, if you're going to be on the bus, you got to figure out what you're going to do on the bus.
Right.
You got to make yourself valuable to this new vehicle. And I think what happens along the way is that people become complacent. You know, newsflash, a day only lasts 24 hours.
That's right.
What we did right now ain't gonna work for tomorrow. We can talk about what we've done today. We may or may not be able to apply it any further, but it's done. We can't recreate this same moment tomorrow.
Right.
And along the way, that's how we have to look at life. I mean, really, we get about a good, and I'm not a predictor of time, but we get about a good, strong 80 years. You know, some fall short before then.
That's right.
Some fall short, some fall, you know, some don't even get started.
Yeah.
You know, you and I, we have friends who didn't make it out of high school. They're dead and gone. We got friends that have been dead almost 40 years, right? Right. That's crazy, right? When you hear about kids passing away and you're in elementary school,
Yes.
You know, it's like, whoa. So some people didn't get that time, but then you have others who exceed that time. But I always ask myself is, what are you doing with the time you have left?
Mm-hmm.
And how much time do you have left? I don't know.
Right.
But I do know I want to fight to be one step closer to where I want to be as a person, because we do a lot for other people.
Yeah.
But this right here is for thyself. Like, it's for me. Mm-hmm. And I take my personal assignment personal.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I remember you had a post on your Facebook page back in December, and you did actually talk briefly about the cooking show, but I want to just get into a little bit more conversation about it. You had posted a casting call for the cooking show. Who did you end up casting for the cooking show, and how's it going?
Oh my goodness, yeah, the cooking show has been it is. When I tell you, this may be the Shark Tank moment all over again, right? So we have Chef Joe, mm-hmm. Chef out of Atlanta. We have Chef Katora, mm-hmm. And that's Kitura, Chef Katora. We also have Chef Darren. He has Island, I think it's Island Chef Cafe. He's from Hawaii, mm-hmm. right? So Hawaii has this eclectic type of food. He's been able to package it in so many ways. He and his wife have these food trucks, right? And actually today it's this gentleman. Let me get his name because we just solidified him today as well. And his name is Chef Shahi. And Chef Shahi, yeah, this is breaking news right here because nobody knew this. But yeah, Chef Shahi will be on the Urban Chefs of Atlanta. I mean, he's an incredible, like his food is gourmet, delicious. I've never tasted it, but just listening to people who've been inspired and what my system is based on recommendations, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's hard to let down somebody who recommended you or referred you. Right. So I love the recommendation referral system. There's a point of accountability because if someone says, hey, have you talked to so-and-so? You know, they ain't called me back yet. Okay, let me get on the phone with them. Let me call you. Be like, look, I've recommended you. So it's a point of accountability that you don't have to take it there with that person. There, my son just tried to scare me, but beautiful. So I hope you take that out.
I'll try.
Yeah, take that out right there. Take that out. So they're beautiful. They're simple. They're so unique in a way to where it's different when I tell you. So normally chefs are not black chefs are not given that stamp of salute, right? When you what are you, a chef? They always got to be funny. They always got to be entertaining. Mm-hmm. I told these ladies and gentlemen, I said, look, chefs, I want people to respect the craft of chefing. Yeah. I said, when you're cooking, you're going to be serious. You're going to have fun. You're going to bring a flavor. But I don't want people to look at us and start dancing. Right. I want them to dance when they taste your food after they try to recreate it.
Because everybody know black folk love to dance when they eat. If we ain't dancing, it ain't good.
That's right.
So with it being as many chefs as you're going to have on, is it on more or less on the reality TV kind of thing? Or is it a competition? Or is it just showing skills? So we have, it's a reality TV. It's not a competition. Everybody has their own episode, but we also have the food queen. She's a foodie. She's a food taster, right? So she tastes, she comes in, she judges the chefs on 3 things. She's going to get me for this because I always mess it up. So style, execution, and taste. I do believe. Queen, if I get it wrong, just, hey, I love you anyway. But she'll come in, food queen will come in and judge these chefs on this particular, and she'll do a tasting. And she gives her feed, a live feed, full back, just from the standpoint of football. She gives them everything like it's 4th and 1. Yeah.
And if it's good, you're going to score. If it's not, turnover.
Yeah.
Like that's how she gives it to them.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's what it is. So we want to showcase the chefs, but we also want to be truthful about their food, because we don't want people, booking the chef and, they'd be like, oh my goodness, well, your cauliflower tastes like cardboard. But on the show, we're like, oh man, that's the best thing I've eaten, right? So we're not trying to hype anybody up.
Right.
We have true talent, and the chefs understand the only way you're on this show, and once they sign the agreement, one of the things is that you understand that an honest opinion, public opinion, will be given about your food.
Yeah. So is it fair to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it fair to say that you are fixing to become the next Tyler Perry?
I would say with respect to Tyler, I think there's only one Tyler.
Right.
I really do. I think there's only one Tyler Perry.
Right.
Now, to have and exhibit the attributes of a Tyler Perry, of Mr. Perry, I would say I have that same dog in me that he had in him. It's in me.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, one day, I'm gonna be able to sit right across from him at a table.
Amen.
And we're gonna give each other that nod, and we're gonna say, "Well done."
Yes. Yes.
And so at that point, we will have just a love for Bob Mackey films. But before then, he's probably gonna Google who Bob Mackey is.
That's right.
Because I want to get everybody's attention.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing it I'm doing it by showing the good things that other people are doing with their talents and crafts. Urban chefs, every chef that I talk to, and I've received requests to be on the show from California, from Chicago. One of the chefs from Chicago, Chef Joe's from New York. There are a couple chefs, several chefs from Atlanta that we're gonna do. And where else? Oh my goodness. There are so many places that chefs have reached out and said, hey, if I don't get on the show, I just want to thank you for giving us a platform. Like right there tells me like, oh my goodness.
You're doing something right.
Like just to give you, and this is the California chef.
Yeah.
Like we're underrepresented in this field.
Definitely.
So to have a show that's nothing but Black chefs every episode. Like I say, we're not featuring nobody on anybody else's show. This is the Urban Chefs of Atlanta. Right? That's all you go from. Look, the soundtrack music is I love Shawty Low, right? They know, right?
Yeah.
Because I want people to they know, like this is it. You're not like the vibe on the show. It is classy. It's professional. It's chefing to the finest. We have fun. We laugh. But these people know their foods.
Yeah.
They know how to. One created a marinade that I realized. He said, These are things that people forget they have in their cabinet that I'm gonna make taste so good. I was like, man, get out of here.
Yeah.
Man, best marinade ever.
Crazy thing. So do you get to, since you're going to be the one pretty much directing it, right?
So I film it and direct it. So I'm behind the camera. I film it. I have a small crew. Okay. So it's myself, it's Eddie Flo, a young lady from Ghana. Then also Jordan, who's with me on Urban Chefs. But lately it's been myself and Eddie Flo. Two-man crew. We film, we sound, I'm behind the camera. I'll show you some pictures. And so, so I'm directing and filming at the same time, talking to the chefs. I'm as they call it, gaffing. I'm adjusting lighting, like all of that. We set the stage. Yeah.
Are you going to be able to get to sample some of the cuisines?
So let me tell you about, I have a rule that I've set is that, I don't taste the food unless we wrap up before the show is over.
Okay.
So that's because in filming, everything is, you book time. So they're enjoying the food, but I still have a schedule that we have to follow.
Right.
We're still paying to play to be in this location.
Right.
So I can't get comfortable. That's their job to get comfortable. My job is to run a structured and professional set to where we enjoy, we get the footage, we get the sound, we make people smile, they do their job, and I make sure that we get out on time.
Awesome. So with this first representation of Black chefs of Atlanta, is there going to be other episodes, or is it going to be other? Are you going to do other cities like Black chefs of California or Denver or New York?
So yeah, since you said it, right? Since you said it, so we are going to do since you already put it out there, we're going to do a Black Chefs of Athens. We are going to do and a Black Chefs. Well, not Black Chefs. It's called the Urban Chefs of Athens and the Urban Chefs of Georgia. So from there, and it's the surrounding. So when people say, well, I don't live in Atlanta. Well, nobody lives in Atlanta, right? When you look at the outskirts, everybody lives normally around Atlanta,
right? But
we call it Atlanta,
right?
From there. So just like Athens, it could be Hartwell, it could be Winder, it could be Oglethorpe, it could be Greene County, Morgan, it could be Oconee County. All of these things it could be, but as long as you provide those three things, demonstration, you have to be Black. I've had a lot of non-Black individuals reach out and say, hey, this ain't the show. I got a lot of shows we could be a part of.
Right.
Latinos who reach out to, hey, it's a Black and brown, urban Black and brown. Say, no, this is just a black urban show right now.
That's right.
There's nothing wrong with it, right? So that's the purpose. And that's the mission, is to push forward Black chefs from that. So yeah, so that's where we are. But it's moving a lot faster than most of the shows have been moving. It's the buzz. I've like with the chefs who are reaching out to me, it's hard to even get them. It's hard to even book them to come and chef for me, right? Because of their schedules are so tight. Yeah. And like Chef Joe said, he said, look, I don't cook for everybody. He said, he showed a list on the show, and I'm not going to spoil it, right? But the list he showed on his phone of the bookings who he had lining up, oh my goodness. It was just beautiful. So for me, it was like, you could be at one of their homes, but you're here filming Urban Chefs.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
That's awesome. I'm so excited for just everything that you're about to do, everything that you're putting out there right now. Like I just knew, I don't know you, but just being friends with you on Facebook, you always have something motivational to say in your posts. You always have something uplifting. And just from what I've just seen and just talking to you today, I know that you're just awesome. Like you're coming out with a lot of great ideas, and you're giving a lot of opportunities, and a lot of Black folk, we appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate it because it needs to be done. Like I'm honored to even just have you on my show. Because like I said, I told y'all you're a celebrity. He keeps saying
Look, I mentioned earlier, people like me aren't supposed to make it, my friend.
Yeah.
I promise you. Like people like me aren't supposed to make it. Yeah. Like I'm the kid who wasn't supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And that's the honest truth. Like I was wrote off on so many levels.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it happens, and it will continue to happen. But I want people to understand that representation can change.
Yes.
Because people do change.
Yes.
Right. And don't be so quick. There are people who are going places, whether you with them or whether they go without you.
Yeah,
they're gonna go.
Definitely.
But just give people chances, because I'm here for the people like me who aren't supposed to be here.
Yeah.
because they need to carry and they will carry the torch on from that end.
Definitely. What are 3 goals that you have set for 2023? What can we look forward to from Bob Mackey?
Oh, five productions already started producing them, right? And that's just already on it, from that end. The goals is like better health. Like I got to get myself back physically, used to hit the gym every day, and I've slacked off. So I got to get myself back to that space to where I'm happy with myself and my physique, right?
Yeah.
Right. It's health matters.
Yes.
And the other thing is really the last goal is connecting my children with their folk, right? And I know that may sound cliche, but we don't grow up with cousins like we used to grow up with cousins. I know I can say for me, so I got to do a better job as dad to go take you to your cousin now, or I'm gonna host a virtual cousins day.
Yeah,
for my cousins, like put Lil John on the line, because they need to know each other. And I know me personally, I haven't done a good job with making sure my children know their folk, because sometimes when you find folk, you find hurt, right? You find obligations to want to be that old person, and that's where I had to save me. And I firmly believe that you never want to leave your kids in an environment that damaged you.
Yeah.
And so for me, there was a lot of damage there.
Yeah.
That I had to shelter them from.
Yeah.
And now they're at an age, and I'm at a state mentally to where I can help them live through some of the things that I didn't have people there to tell me how to deal with certain things.
Right.
There are some things, like when I go see some of the relatives, I have to tell my kids, like, when so-and-so raised their voice, they're not mad. That's just how they talk.
Right.
When you hear 3 or 4 people like start laughing and talking together, ain't nothing wrong. That's how we communicate.
Yeah.
So I had to prep them on some of that, because my children, it's only 4 of us in the house, and we don't raise the voices, and we don't yell when we need people. And so it's a different norm that I wanted to set for them, and there's nothing wrong with it. I just had to share with them these different phases of the way my children, behave. I was taught well, like a lot of us were. There were some things that were out of my control, but a lot of the things I went through, I made sure like my children never had to experience. Like coming home to a dark house, sometimes for us that became kind of a norm, right?
Yeah.
My children have never had to experience that.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to make sure. Like we used to argue over toilet paper growing up, right? Like I mean, but sometimes you only hang on to the things you have.
Yeah.
And even the smallest things. Like I always used to keep my shoes on. Sometimes I still got a habit of doing that. Why? Yeah. Because that's the only thing I used to be able to say that I own, with my shoes on my feet. And once I took them off, I no longer had value anywhere. But as long as I kept them on, I could always move to a different location.
Yeah.
The 30-day, I don't remember if you remember in Athens, but there used to be signs on apartment complexes, like 30-day specials, right? We used to move in and move out in 30 days. Because if you move in half of the month, you get 15 days free, and you still got 30 days.
Yeah.
Goodness.
That is just off of what you told me from the things you've you've overcome in your past as coming up as a kid and to where you are now. I am proud of you, brother, because a lot of people couldn't walk in your shoes. A lot of people still can't walk in your shoes. Yeah. And for you to have overcome the way that you have, and you're doing film, and you've you're inventing things, and you're a motivational speaker, and you're here for the kids, and you're giving opportunities and jobs. I think that is amazing. I think that what you are doing is so awesome and important, especially to the Black community. And I'm just proud. I'm proud to just have you here. I am.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, I'm honored to just be in your presence, because
Yeah.
I think we met like as kids.
You think
somewhere along the way. I really believe we do. Like somewhere along the way, I really think we met as children, because when you told me where you were, we used to go there all the time to the lake. You know, we used to go to the lake, the little beach area. There was a little grocery store there a long time ago. And like I said, that was a long time. I don't know if it's still there. We used to go to Livonia.
Yeah.
So when you were talking about all of that, I was like, oh my goodness. We used to play y'all in basketball, football, like Jackson County against, and it was like, yeah.
Ain't no telling. It ain't no telling. Just it's time. And we probably have crossed paths before and didn't know it. And here we are again now. And that's right. Amazing to me. Okay. So getting down to the wire on this thing. What else can we expect to see from Bob Mackey in the future?
What else? A little bit of everything else. That's all I could say. I mean, you're gonna like this right here times 10, right? When I come back, we're like right now we won a few awards in the film industry already. So we've run. I want to say we've been nominated 7 times. We've won a couple times, and I've only been in the game about 11 months.
How does that feel?
It feels like I'm supposed to be where I am. Like, I mean, there's no other way to really put it. Like, I know the work that I put in, and it feels like, okay, this is right at that part. But I understand that some people have been working in this field for 20 years, 20 plus years, 10 years. But I had the mentality like I'm not waiting on anybody to break into the industry.
Oh, that's right.
And whether I would have Heartland Media and Films production. If we need to just pump it out from that end, we will.
Yeah.
But I just wanted people to know, and people always say, well, why don't you try to do this? Or why don't you look, I want to cut the red tape. Red tape slows you down.
Yeah.
Right. I create so that way I don't have to deal with people green lighting stuff. It's just amazing when you want to do something and you can't because people say you can't.
Yeah.
That hurts, right? Yeah. And for me, it's like, no, the only thing that I haven't done in my life and with filming is give up. And that's my mentality.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. As we get ready to wrap this thing up, is there anything that you'd like to add?
I just want to add a big thank you and send some gratitude your way. I appreciate it, because at a time, the only thing I had to give was thanks. And I'm still thankful for that. And your platform and just being able to connect with you is great. And then on the other end, it's like anybody who's ready to work, who wants to work, anybody who ever thought about, hey, I want to go into filming, who's doing YouTube videos. Most of who you see today was discovered by someone.
Yeah.
Right. But they brought the talent. Yeah. They already put it on the platform. Don't say I want to act. That's the worst thing you can do is to tell somebody what you want to do and haven't done anything toward what you want to do. Right. Just I don't care if it's taking your phone and you doing reels. Show people something.
Yeah.
Right. The reason why Justin Bieber attracted Usher is because he was on YouTube.
Yeah.
He was already dancing. He was already singing.
Yeah.
Usher just had the vision for this young man to give him a larger platform.
Right.
He knew he could sell records.
Yeah.
Like with Drake, Lil Wayne. Think about Lil Wayne and Drake.
Yeah.
What Lil Wayne turned Drake down, what, 2 times, was it? When he heard his albums, he was like, man, I don't want to hear this. Like, this is, but once he understood that it's not supposed to sound like everybody else.
Right.
He had a vision of what it was not supposed to sound like everybody else. Greg Street, even, you know, the top 80 today, it's 6 o'clock time for Greg Street to rock. You know that, you know, and the guy was like, and what if I told you CeeLo was supposed to be an outcast?
Right.
Right. I mean,
right.
You know,
right.
You know, the song In Due Time, you know, Outkast, when you know, and then all of them had their own vision. Yeah. And when you look at what CeeLo was able to do, because CeeLo, when we look at Keeping It Real, when, you know, the song, what is it, Crazy, Charles Gnarls.
Yep.
Right? The producer, when, you know how that whole story started from Athens? Oh, yeah. The guy was making beats, said, hey, want you to listen to this. Like, in Athens. From Athens.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, check out the story. I'm not going to give it away.
Okay.
From that end. When you look at opportunities across the board, I remember and I love Luther Vandross. Luther, when he was going to college or whatnot, right? He knew he had a voice. He knew he had a gift, but nobody didn't know Luther.
Right.
So he picked someone that they did know, Dionne Warwick, right?
Yep.
He told everybody he was Dionne Warwick's nephew.
I did not know that.
Yeah. He told everybody that was his aunt, right? You know.
Wow. That's great. I did not know that.
Yeah. So I say all that to say, sometimes you got to challenge yourself to put it out there. You know, connect with people. Don't be afraid. You know, I've been in contact with some incredible people. Yeah. And let me tell you the recipe for success.
Yeah.
When you go after somebody you really want, you study them, number one, but then also you treat them like they're human. That's the only thing you got to do. Yeah. They have fans. They're not looking for new fans. Right. They have fans. I mean, they love that I love your music. But treat me like sit down, let's have a conversation, let's have coffee.
Like a normal person.
Yeah, that's it. You know, so keep that agenda clean. And when people say, how can I help? Don't tell them, just show them what you've been doing and allow them to picture themselves in that next move.
Right. Awesome. All right. Do you have any shout outs?
Yeah. Well, I don't like to shout out because look, I forget people and then people be upset. So I'm gonna shout out to everybody who's just keep doing what you're doing. Yeah. My friends, my family, like everybody, you know, just keep doing what you're doing, and eventually we're gonna work together one day. I always say you never know who your boss will be.
Yeah.
Be nice, be fair, and be believable.
Yes. All right. So for anybody that may want to get in contact with you, whether it's for advice or maybe even want to try out or just let you see their talent as far as want to maybe get into an upcoming film or anything, social media and website information.
Yeah, so don't reach out to us if you're not ready to work. And if you haven't started, we ain't gonna talk about money. We're not talking about fees. We're talking about opportunity. So your dedication to get up, to show up, and then we can talk about contracting and agreements a bit later from there. So you can reach Heartland Media, Heartlandmedia and films.com. On Instagram, I am MakeItHappen_Bob. You can send us an email from the website of Heartland Media and Films, and just connect with me. If they're listening to this, then they're connected to you. And if you're connected to Jay, you're connected to me.
Period.
That's all.
Awesome. Once again, Bob, I really have enjoyed this conversation. I have enjoyed the opportunity just to be in your presence of a Black man that is doing so much, giving so many opportunities. I am full of joy right now because it's just so much negative things placed on Black men, and to be in the presence of a Black man that's not only has given himself opportunity, he's also passing out opportunities to other Black men, other Black women, other Black children. I think that is a awesome thing. Please, whatever you do, keep going. I know you will, but definitely keep going. I appreciate you so much for coming on the Blackout Podcast. We're ready to close this thing out now.
All right.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Before that, I'm gonna send you a link real quick.
Okay.
And I want you to watch this, and let's see. And this is one of the films that I'm gonna be doing. Okay. You're gonna have to probably mute your audio so that way people can't hear it. Okay. But if you maybe pull it up on your phone.
Okay.
And all right, so I'm gonna send it to you.
Okay.
And I want to see if you get it. All right, here we go.
I get an exclusive.
Yeah. You definitely, you have it right now. You have it. So don't share it. Definitely
not.
Yeah.
Definitely not. Okay.
It should pop right up.
Okay.
You see, it's in your message.
I see it. I'll definitely look at that in a few minutes.
Yeah. Well, I want you to check it out now.
Oh, you'll be seeing right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Give me a second. Let me see what we got here. I'm so excited. Oh, Lord Jesus. Hold on. Let's see.
We got to turn it up and mute it.
It's already muted. You want to turn?
No, I was saying you can turn up that. You can turn it up, but mute your Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah, mute your Zoom and watch it from the beginning.
Hold on. Let's see. You have to shame yourself. Wow!
What's
in the world?
You like that?
Oh, let me tell you something. That's gonna be awesome.
Right?
That's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to see that one.
Yeah, right?
Ooh, if you can see the hair stand up on my arm right now. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
You are a very impressive man. And I can't wait to see what you got coming for 2023.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely going to be finished out for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's definitely. Oh man, I think everybody go push. We gonna move.
Yeah.
We gonna move on, y'all. Cause Bob did something to me, y'all. Good God Almighty, Lord, I just got chills all running out down my body, Lord. Amen. Woo, Jesus. Okay, y'all have tuned into the greatest. Another episode of the Blackout Podcast. It's your Higgity host with the Miggity the most. Black to the motherfucking fire, yeah. Y'all know my motto. If you ain't about the Blackout Podcast, forget you later. Peace. Thank you, Bob.
All right, thank you. Have a good day, okay?
You too.